to ask you, where were the followers of Jesus first called Christians, I think some, if many of you, would know the answer. You would say in Antioch, during the revival in the church of Antioch recorded in Acts chapter 11, and that would be correct. The author of Acts tells us it was there in Antioch where the followers of Jesus were first called Christians. And that would be Syrian Antioch, not to be confused with Pisidian Antioch that we also meet in the book of Acts, or any other Antioch, I guess, for that matter. Now, what if I were to ask you, where does the term Christianity, to refer to the religion that follows Jesus, originate? Would you know the answer to that? Let's explore the what and where of the term Christianity. Welcome, explorers, and in today's video we're going to explore the term Christianity. For the what, Christianity is a religion with Jesus Christ at its center. That is a very simple definition, and that definition could be made much more complex, but in its simplest terms, Christianity is a religion with Jesus Christ at its center. Now, there is a wide theological debate over what specific beliefs constitute true Christianity, or if the term can be plural, such as Christianities, or can the term of Christianity refer to non-little o Orthodox religions that center on Jesus, or can the little o Orthodox co-opt such a broad term like Christianity for its own? But that's another video. For this video's sake, Christianity is a religion that follows Jesus. And now if you have cracked open your favorite Bible search program and typed the word Christianity into it to discover whether Paul uses this term in Corinthians or Peter in his epistles, or if it comes later in the book of Acts, well, you might be surprised to discover that the word Christianity is not in the Bible. Now, that is not to say that there are no references in the Bible to the religion that follows Jesus. There are. Acts uses two terms for the religion that follows Jesus. First, it likes to use the term the way. And this could be a play off of John 14:6, where Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Acts uses the term the way to refer to Christianity. Probably 6 and possibly 7 if you want to count the way of God. Now, in some of those uses of the way in Acts, the article will be different depending on your English translation. It might be this way or that way, for example. But way is clearly used in Acts as a term to refer to Christianity instead of the term Christianity. And also in Acts, we see the term sect of the Nazarenes used once in Acts 24:5 to refer to Christianity. Sect of the Nazarenes is possibly a play off of Jesus and Nazareth, the town where Jesus grew up. And the use of sect of the Nazarenes is not by a Christian, but by the prosecutor of Paul before Roman governor Felix. And this prosecutor, named Tertullus, calls Paul a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes. So two terms used in Acts to refer to Christianity are the way and sect of the Nazarenes. So if not the Bible, where do we meet the term Christianity? Well, we don't yet know where the term Christianity was coined, but the earliest use of this term comes to us from the letters of Ignatius of Antioch. Ignatius was bishop of Syrian Antioch, yes, the same Syrian Antioch where Jesus' followers were first called Christians. And that's a pretty cool coincidence, or pretty cool fact if it was intentional wordplay by Ignatius. And the scholarly consensus is that Ignatius of Antioch, the person, most likely lived in the late 1st to early 2nd century CE and was arrested, taken to Rome, and killed for his faith toward the end of the reign of Emperor Trajan by 117 CE. And some will argue that Ignatius of Antioch may have been martyred later into Emperor Hadrian's reign after Trajan, but tradition and the scholarly consensus is that Ignatius was martyred under Trajan by again 117 CE. Well, the dating of Ignatius of Antioch's letters is a whole different matter. We possess Ignatius' letters in 3 distinct manuscript forms. If you want the $10 word, they are called recensions, and they are named after their lengths. There is the long, middle, and short recensions. And to give you a gross oversimplification of the scholarly consensus, it is this. The short recension is a later abridged version of the middle, and the long recension is a later expanded version of the middle. So it is the middle recension that is the oldest and most genuine version of Ignatius of Antioch's letters that we possess. And there are these 7 letters of Ignatius of Antioch in the middle recension that are considered the oldest and most genuine of Ignatius of Antioch's letters in the scholarly consensus view. In 2 of these letters, Ignatius' letter to the Magnesians and his letter to the Romans, he uses the term Christianity multiple times. In chapter 10 of his letter to the Magnesians, Ignatius warns against the Judaizing of Christianity. And in chapter 3 of his letter to the Romans, Ignatius argues that Christianity is greatest when hated by the world. Ignatius does not define or explain the use of the term Christianity. It is just used like it is in already established terms. And this is one of the arguments that is used by scholars who want to date the writing or editing of Ignatius' letters to a later date than Ignatius actually lived. Again, in a gross oversimplification, some scholars argue Ignatius by 117 CE could not have used the technical terms Christianity or martyrdom or Catholic, or explain the monepiscopacy, the Catholic or Episcopal form of church government, in any such detail. They also use very technical textual arguments, but basically they argue Ignatius of Antioch the person could not have written these letters as we have them in his day during Trajan's reign that ended in 117 CE. He uses too many terms and ideas that are not found that early anywhere else. None of Ignatius of Antioch's contemporaries use the term Christianity or Catholic in such a way, and none of his contemporaries are arguing so clearly for or against organized hierarchical 3-office form of church government. Now, the scholarly consensus response to these arguments that want to date the authorship or editing of Ignatius's letters in the 160 CE and later has been this. Some they outright reject as wild theories, while other arguments present real difficulties to the early dating by 117 CE, and the general scholarly consensus is that some later date theories are interesting, they're worth wrestling with, and they present real issues, but they are not so convincing to prove the traditional dating of Ignatius's 7 letters incorrect. So Ignatius of Antioch's 7 letters has a very tenuous scholarly consensus dating them to the early 2nd century CE, making Ignatius's letter to the Magnesians and Ignatius's letter to the Romans the 2 earliest uses of the term Christianity that we possess today. So it is in Ignatius of Antioch's letters where we first learn the religion of the Christians is called Christianity, and he was the bishop of the same Syrian Antioch where followers of Jesus in Acts chapter 11 were first called Christians. To me, that is quite the fun fact. You can impress your friends at parties with that fun fact. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and my bibliography is in the description below. Be blessed.